Good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Gyan Bhushan, Assistant Professor in Zoology from Guru Nanak Khalsa College, Yamunanagar. Today, we will study Paper 2, Life Science and Diversity from Coelenterata to Helminthes and Cell Biology, Part 2. From this paper of BSc first year, first semester, we would be discussing about brief account of causes of cancer. So let's discuss about cancer. So before starting the topic cancer, I have divided it into various subtopics. What is cancer? Next, characteristics of cancer cells, types of cancer, the differences between benign and malignant tumors, then differences amongst carcinoma, lymphoma, leukemia, sarcoma and melanoma. Afterwards, we will study the causes of cancer, then symptoms of cancers, after that treatment of cancers, and at the last we will briefly discuss about the preventive measures of cancer. So let's move to our first slide. Let's define the cancer. So cancer is characterized by uncontrolled growth and division of certain body tissues, so forming a tumor. It means it is abnormal cell growth, which is also called neoplasia. Cancer is a disease where the cells grow out of control and invade, erode and destroy normal tissue of the body. So in brief, we can say cancer is mitosis run amok. The scientific study of all the aspects of cancer is called oncology, while the scientist involved in the cancer research is called oncologist. Now we come to our next slide, that is the characteristics of cancer cells. So first of all, the fundamental feature of cancer is uncontrolled mitotic divisions of cells causing unorganized growth. Cancer cells have increased ability to grow than normal cells, and they have aberrant regulation of the cell cycle. That means they do not follow the rules and regulation of the normal cell cycle, and they have less survival capabilities than the normal cells because they are undergoing uncontrolled mitotic divisions. Similarly, they are also poorly differentiated. They do not undergo the proper process of differentiation, and cancer cells do not show the phenomenon of contact inhibition, which is very important in case of normal cells. Again, these cells have high invasiveness, that is, they spread very rapidly in the neighboring tissues. The cytoskeletal structures like microtubules, microfilaments, they are also disorganized in these types of cells. So let's discuss about various types of cancer. So cancer can be divided into various types on the basis of the spread of the tumor and their location. So let's first discuss about on the basis of the spread of tumor. So we have two types, the malignant as opposed to benign, that is non-malignant. So, very few points about benign and malignant. So, let us begin with the benign, showing the slow growth, non-invasive and no metastasis, while malignant, rapid growth, invasive, potential for metastasis. So, differences between the benign and malignant tumors on the basis of the characters. Let us discuss one by one. The presence. The benign tumor remain confined in the organ affected, while malignant tumor spread from one organ to other organ of the body. Second point is about the sheath. They are often encapsulated in benign and non-encapsulated in malignant tumor. Their growth rate is very low, meaning thereby low mitotic rate in benign and high mitotic rate in malignant. Then we come to the next point, that is cell adhesion. So, in case of benign tumor, they are more adhesive, while in malignant tumor they are less adhesive. And the important point which we will again discuss, that is the metastasis. In case of benign, they are non-metastasizing, and in case of malignant, they are metastasizing. So, we can see from the diagram also that benign tumor cell grow only locally and cannot spread by invasion or metastasis, while malignant cells invade neighboring tissues, enter blood vessels and metastasize to different sites. So, let us begin about their characteristics. Benign tumors are localized, usually grow slowly, compress rather than infiltrate adjacent tissues, often forming a capsule, do not spread to distant site, generally do not reoccur after removal, may be self-limiting or regress, have cellular structures resembling that of the tissue of origin. While in case of malignant tumors, they are characterized by infiltration of the malignant cells into surrounding tissues and invasion of the neoplastic cells into blood and lymph vessels. The spread of the tumor cells to the other parts of the body to establish secondary growths, metastasis. So, metastasis, the transfer of disease from one organ or the part of an organ to another not directly connected with it. So, the spread of the cancer may be local invasion or no invasion, meaning in situ, that will remain there, or maybe by dissemination, by lymphatics, by bloodstream, or intracavitary or perineural. So, these are the methods of spread of cancer. So, metastasis, the spread of tumor, we can see in this diagram that there is a primary tumor and how it is entering into the blood vessel, meaning thereby through intravasation, and then from blood vessel to the out of the blood vessel through extravasation, and then forming the secondary tumor at a new location. So, spread of the tumor means the metastasis from one location to another location within the body. So now we come to our next slide, that is the types of cancer. So the second type of cancers, that is on the basis of their location, where they are located, the major types are carcinoma, sarcoma, leukemia, and melanoma. Let's first discuss about carcinomas. So carcinoma affects the epithelial tissue and the glandular tissue, means glands. So in this category, they include the breast cancer, the pancreatic cancer, the skin cancer, the lung cancer, and the stomach cancer. While the cancer of the epithelial gland is called adenoma. Similarly, we talk about the connective tissue, lymphatic tissues, and muscles, which are very uncommon. So sarcoma affects the tissues derived from the mesoderm. As we know that there are three germinal layers, the ectoderm, the endoderm, and the mesoderm. So from mesoderm, the bones, the cartilage, the adipose tissues, and lymphatic tissues and muscles, they originate. So in this category, we have lymphomas. Lymphomas, the cancers of lymphatic tissues, they appear in the lymphatic nodes, the spleen, and the reticuloendothelial tissues. Again, an important point to be noticed. Second is lipomas. As the name indicates, lipomas are tumors formed in the adipose tissues. Similarly, we have osteomas, that is the cancer of bone. And the most common, which I think every student have heard the name, the blood cancer, that is leukemia. Leukemia results from the excessive formation of WBCs in the bone marrow and the lymphatic nodes, increasing their number in the blood plasma. And in this case, they reduce the number of RBC, red blood corpuscles. So the number of WBCs increase in the blood plasma. Next we have melanomas, are cancers that arise in the cells that make the pigment in the skin. Our next slide is about causes of cancer. As we all know, there are some substances which cause the cancer, and these substances are called carcinogens. So let's first define the carcinogen. A carcinogen may be a chemical substance, such as certain molecules in the tobacco smoke. The cause of the cancer may be environmental agents, viral, or genetic factors. So let's discuss one by one. First, the biological or the internal factors, such as age of the person, the gender of the person, inherited genetic defects, or skin type. Second is environmental exposure, for instance, to radon and ultraviolet radiations, as well as the fine particulate matter, like we have PM 2.5, PM 10. Occupational risk factors includes many types of carcinogen, such as many chemicals, the radioactive materials, and asbestos. And the last, we have lifestyle related factors which may cause the cancer. So let's study one by one. First, I would like to discuss with you the biological or the internal factors. Bacteria and viruses can cause cancer. As you know, Helicobacter pylori, H. pylori, which causes gastritis. Gastritis is stomach ulcer. Then we have various type of viruses which may cause cancer. Like we have hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus. So hepatitis viruses cause hepatitis. Again, very dangerous disease in the human beings. Then we have HPV, means human papilloma virus. Papilloma virus which may cause changes in, for example, cervical cells. Then we have EBV, that is Epstein-Barr virus. The herpes virus. Most of the students have heard the name of the herpes virus. That causes inflammation of the throat lymphoid. So these were some of the biological factors. Next we move to the environmental exposure. Again, as I have already said, there are various factors: ionizing radiation, X-rays radiation, soil radon, and then non-ionizing radiation, the sun, UV rays, very dangerous for those people who are working in the sunny days. The X-rays, cosmic rays, ultraviolet rays, they are all carcinogenic. Incidence of leukemia, that is the blood cancer, is 10 times higher in the radiologist than in the other physician due to exposure to the X-rays. Japanese people exposed to the radiation released from the World War II nuclear explosions. We know Nagasaki and Hiroshima, the two bombs were exploded by the America on Japanese cities. They showed 5 times the incidence of leukemia than the rest of the population of the world. So again, these are the environmental factors. Then we discuss something about ultraviolet radiation from the sun. If the person is exposed to these type of radiations, it can lead to melanoma and skin malignancies. As I have already discussed about ultraviolet radiations, so the fair-skinned people are those with lot of moles, it's dark spots on the face or on the body. They are at the highest risk. Ultraviolet radiation can sometimes activate these moles, the dark spots on the body, and initiate the skin cancer, which is very dangerous to the individual. So now let's discuss about some of the chemicals. So I have made this slide showing the type of the carcinogen and the organ affected. So let's discuss this one by one. So in this case, my first point is asbestos fibers, which affects the lungs. Second point is tar and the pitch, which affects the lungs and the skin both. Then very famous benzopyrene, which most of the students have heard the name, which is a polynuclear hydrocarbon. It affects the skin and the lungs. Then we have various types of metal compounds. They affect the prostate gland. Some plastic chemicals, for example vinyl chloride, it affects the liver of the human. So these were some of the carcinogens and the organ affected. I have shown in tabular form. So some people are really at a very high risk of being exposed to the cancer causing substances. this is because of their workplace. For example, workers in the chemical dye industry, they have been found to have a higher incidence than the normal of the bladder cancer. As we have already discussed about asbestos, it is a well-known agent for cancer at the workplace, particularly a cancer called mesothelioma. So I repeat again, mesothelioma, which most commonly affects the covering of the lungs, that is the pleura. So these are some of the occupational risk factors which I have discussed with you. And now the most important, the lifestyle related factors which may cause the cancer. So everyone has to take care of all these. First, I discussed tobacco. Tobacco, you all know. Tobacco smoke contains more than 2 dozen different cancer causing substances. Heavy smoking may also cause cancer of the oral cavity, throat and the larynx. And you might have heard about the active smokers and the passive smokers. Even you will be surprised to know that the passive smokers which do not smoke are at a higher risk of inhaling the smoke from an active smoker, which is actually smoking. So everyone has to take care of this also. Then I come to the next point, that is alcohol. Alcohol can increase the risk of number of cancers, including mouth cancer, the throat cancer, the pharyngeal cancer, the laryngeal cancer, the esophageal cancer, the liver cancer, the breast cancer and the bowel cancer, particularly in the men. So lifestyle related factors are very important. Ultraviolet radiations, again I have already discussed in the last environmental factors, but this is also including the lifestyle related factors also. The incidence of the skin cancer is higher in the people working in very sunny areas due to ultraviolet radiation in the sunlight. If the person is exposed to these type of radiations, we know that there is going to be the skin cancer. Then again, the food related factors such as nitrites and polyaromatic hydrocarbons generated by barbecuing food, the physical irritant like certain foods which cause continued aberration of the lining of the intestinal tract, they are also carcinogenic. So that's why we have to take care of our food, that what we are eating, what we are taking. So my next slide is about symptoms of cancer. Cancer can be treated if detected in its early stages. So there are various symptoms which can tell us about whether there is a cancer or not. So some of the symptoms which I have enlisted are any wound that does not heal in a normal time period. So if you see the wound is not healing, it means there may be cancer. Next, bleeding from any body opening which is not stopping may be cause of cancer. A lump or a hard tissue which changes or grows larger and larger. Then if there is a persistent cough or hoarseness that does not go away with the passage of time. Persistent indigestion or difficulty in swelling. So that may also indicate that there is something going wrong in the body, maybe a throat cancer. Persistent changes in the bladder or the bowel habits. Then we have progressive changes in the color of a wart or a mole. That means skin cancer may be there. Excessive loss of blood in the menses in the woman, so that may also indicate a type of a cancer in the female. If there is unexplained loss of weight, again it is an indicator, or unexplained low grade fever. So these all are the symptoms of the cancer. One should look into it. In my next slide, I have discussed that what causes the mutation that lead to the cancer, like viruses, bacteria, chemicals, ultraviolet and ionizing radiations. As we have already learned about that viruses, human papillomavirus cause cervical cancer, bacteria, Helicobacter pylori, gastric cancer, chemicals, benzopyrin, lung cancer, ultraviolet and ionizing radiation, the skin cancer. We have already discussed these points. So what do these agents have in common? So there is one thing which is common, that is the mutagen. So what is the mechanism? The mechanism is, I have enlisted in the point wise. Viruses, what they do is insertional mutagenesis, mutation of the DNA by addition of one or more base pairs. So again, there is a change in the DNA. Second, chemicals, DNA adducts, the segment of the DNA bound to a cancer causing chemicals. Again, there is a change in the DNA. Then ultraviolet and ionizing radiation, single and double strand DNA breaks. Again, there is a change in the DNA. So the mutagen changes the structure of the DNA, thereby leading to the cancer. So there are some theories of the cancer. So the most important theories, one is mutation theory and second is selective gene activation theory. So let's discuss one by one. First is mutation theory. Briefly, I can tell you, accumulation of mutation over the years produce cancer. Again, I will discuss in the next point also. Selective gene activation theory. Certain genes that are not normally expressed, they suddenly become active and their products cause cancer. So these are the two very important theories of cancer. Then there is a role of oncogenes. So let's discuss proto-oncogenes and oncogenes. Dear students, proto-oncogene is a normal gene that can transform into oncogene due to mutation or increased expression, as I have already discussed in the mutation theory, that accumulation of mutation over the years produce cancer. So one group of the genes implicated in the development of cancer are damaged genes, the damaged genes. I repeat, damaged genes, the oncogenes. That is from proto-oncogenes to oncogenes. The oncogenes are the genes whose presence in the certain forms and or overactivity may stimulate the development of the cancer. So, when oncogenes arise in the normal cells, I repeat, when oncogenes arise in the normal genes, they can contribute to the development of cancer by instructing the cell, I repeat, to make proteins that stimulate excessive cell growth and division, meaning thereby uncontrolled growth, uncontrolled mitotic division and then uncontrolled growth, leading to the formation of a tumor. So how we can treat these type of cancer? At present, the cancer is treated in different ways. There are many ways. So, some of the ways I have discussed in this slide. As you know, the radiation therapy, treating through ionizing radiation. Second, the hormonal therapy, treating through hormones. Surgery, the removal of the cancerous part by surgery. Chemotherapy, treating through chemicals. So, these treatments have many side effects also. You might have heard that some person have undergone the radiation therapy and there is a loss of hair. So, first point is hair loss. Second is weakened immune system, because the body has been exposed to the radiation. So, although we are treating the cancer, but there are certain side effects. So, it may weaken the immune system of the human being. Then there are problems with the GI tract, the gastrointestinal tract. There may be problems related with digestion. So, if we discuss all these treatments one by one, first the radiation therapy. You all know about radiation therapy. So, the cancerous part of the body or the parts of the body are exposed to the ionizing radiation, the X-rays, which kill the cancerous cells because they are exposed to the radiation. It gives good results in case of skin, in case of lip, in case of mouth, and in case of cervix cancer. So, radiation therapy is employed in about 80% of the cancer patient. And again, I am telling you all that there are side effects. Second is hormonal therapy. In this, a hormone caused cancer is treated by another hormone which neutralizes the carcinogenic hormone. For example, the breast cancer can be controlled by testosterone, a male steroidal hormone. We all know. The third type of the treatment is surgery. The removal of entire cancerous tissue from the body. Surgery is effective in removing the solid tumors that are confined to a specific area but not close to the vital structure of the body. Breast cancer is usually treated surgically. And then the fourth and the most important type of a therapy, that is chemotherapy. So, a number of chemicals like mercaptopurine, 6-aminotyrine are also known to kill the cancerous cells or inhibit the DNA synthesis. I repeat, inhibit the DNA synthesis and the division of the cancer cells. If there is inhibition of the DNA synthesis, then there is going to be normal things in the body. So, at the end, I would like to discuss with you the preventive measures of the cancer. Reduce the intake of food containing mutagen or carcinogen, such as smoked, nitrated or charred meat. I have already discussed all these types of food related factors in the causes of the cancer. So, you have to reduce the intake of these type of food. Then avoid obesity and take less fat. Eating a healthy diet. We all know that we have to increase the intake of fruits and vegetables, particularly those containing vitamin A and C. So, my dear students, you have to take care of your diet. Diet is very important. Next, minimizing your exposure to radiation and the toxic chemicals of industries against lung cancer. If you are exposed to radiations and the toxic chemicals of industries, you are going to have the lung cancer. So you have to avoid all these things. Then avoid X-rays whenever possible. We all know that we have to undergo X-rays for different types of fractures or other deformities in the body, but if it is possible to avoid X-rays, then avoid it. Then prophylactic use of drugs against breast cancer. Then I should tell all the students, do not take alcohol. Avoid smoking and chewing tobacco against lung cancer, and protect yourself from the ultraviolet radiation of the sun, as you know, which may lead to the skin cancer. And the most important thing which I have mentioned in this slide is exercise regularly. You have to do the exercise regularly on the daily basis. So with this, I come to the end of this presentation of the cancer biology. Thank you very much.